who they're remembering tonight as well. Thank you. I yield back.
I thank the gentleman, and now it's a pleasure to welcome Dr. Kagen from Wisconsin, is someone who has been a steadfast advocate for not just the veterans of this country, but for working families everywhere, and has been a champion in trying to bring attention to the serious flaws and opportunities in our health care delivery system.
Thank you for yielding.
I yield to the gentleman.
Thank you for yielding, and thank you for carrying on for the first few minutes before I was able to attend. Our Committee on Transportation just ended its subcommittee meeting at 9:20 this evening, where we're hearing some testimony about the possible merger between Delta and Northwest, and it was a very educational seminar, to say the least. But it's still an example of how we are working hard to gain oversight over these mega mergers and taking a look at big business and big insurance and big corporations and the big war machine that's now costing Americans millions and millions of dollars every day. And if you like numbers, my friend, it's $14 million an hour that we're spending in Iraq instead of here at home. It's $338 million per day. $2.4 billion per week and $10 to $12 billion per month that we have our hard-earned tax money going over to the sands of Iraq and not investing here at home in our own infrastructure, in our roads and our bridges, in our schools, and in our social system. Now, if you like numbers, and I like numbers, I've got a head for numbers, I'll give you the number 300, 213. 300% is the increase in the gasoline price since the current administration took office in 2001. 3 times as much as what you're paying at the pump as when they started. Now, my friend, Mr. Ellison, the Right Honorable Sir, mentioned Iraq and some Iraq tragedies. On Mother's Day, I had the occasion in Wisconsin to dial up and wish a happy Mother's Day to a fallen soldier's mother, and I spoke with Donna Opichka. She'd lost her son, Dean, and in her words, quote, "It's not working." She's been against our involvement in Iraq from the start. She has 2 sons that are there, and we will always support our troops, but not a failed policy. And in her words, it's just not working. They told us oil prices would go down. They've gone up 300%. The number 200, it's 200%. The increase in fuel oil that many people in northeast Wisconsin rely on to heat their homes, and it was a long winter this year. And what about the number 13? 13% increase in your cost for groceries. Your food went up 13%. My friends, if the cost of our food went up 200 and 300%, we'd see a revolution in this country. And so earlier today, we passed a farm bill that it will fundamentally and dramatically change the way we're feeding ourselves. This farm bill determines what farmers will plant, what they're going to grow, and ultimately what we're going to eat and what we're going to look like. That farm bill had the overwhelming support of over 300 members of Congress, and it's a very good example of how Congress really ought to work in a bipartisan way, Republicans and Democrats together, putting their minds together and working out a way in which we can feed not just our own families, but continue to feed the world. Now, as this increase in energy for food and energy for oil has gone skyrocketing, the food prices have held their own until recently, when the energy cost has crept into our food supply. At the same time as these costs are going up, your income is going down. The median income went down 2% since 2001. So at the very same time that middle-class Americans are having a hard time keeping their head above water with the escalation in the cost for energy, both food and oil, their income is not going up. And so I think people watching tonight have to ask a fundamental question. Whose side are we on? Are we on the side of big business? Are we on the side of big insurance? Big oil companies? I think not. We're not sitting in a boardroom. We're standing on the people's floor here on the House. And I'm very honored to work with my class of 2006, the class I brand America's Hope, for a real positive and a new direction. Not just in our foreign policy, not just in our foreign policy, but our domestic policy as well, as we pay attention to and continue to work hard for the American people to give them a fair shake in our future. And I yield back.
I thank the